Bali, Indonesia, December 18, 2025. What unfolded across this island was not a single sudden disaster, but a slow-building crisis driven by relentless rain, unstable winds, and a tropical atmospheric system that refused to let go. For days, the skies remained heavy and saturated, releasing wave after wave of intense rainfall that steadily pushed rivers, drainage canals, and urban infrastructure beyond their limits. The phenomenon behind this prolonged weather emergency was identified by meteorological authorities as Bibit Siklon Tropis 93s, a tropical disturbance located south of Indonesia. While the system did not evolve into a fully developed cyclone making landfall, its indirect influence was powerful enough to amplify the monsoon season dramatically. Moisture convergence increased, cloud systems became deeper and more persistent, and rainfall intensity rose well above seasonal averages. In many parts of Bali, rainfall totals over a 24-hour period reached extreme levels. Several monitoring points recorded accumulations exceeding 150 millimeters in a single day, with intense downpours delivering more than 40 to 60 millimeters in under 1 hour. Such rainfall rates are enough to overwhelm even well-maintained drainage systems, and in densely built urban areas, water had nowhere to go. Denpasar, the provincial capital, was among the first areas to experience widespread flooding. Streets that usually carry constant traffic became submerged within minutes. Water surged over curbs, poured into homes, and turned the intersections into shallow rivers. In Badung Regency, including popular districts such as Kuta, Seminyak, and Legion, floodwater covered major roads, paralyzing movement and forcing residents and tourists alike to wade through murky water to reach safety. Jonyar experienced similar conditions, particularly in lower-lying residential zones near river channels. As rainfall continued, rivers swelled rapidly, spilling over their banks and inundating nearby housing complexes. In Jembrana, western Bali, fallen trees and landslides disrupted transport routes, including sections of key roads linking villages to the main highway. Karangasem, already vulnerable due to its terrain, faced river overflows and erosion that damaged homes and agricultural land. Alongside the flooding came strong and erratic winds. Gusts repeatedly tore through neighborhoods, lifting corrugated metal roofing sheets and sending them tumbling through the air. Temporary structures, roadside stalls, and poorly anchored roofs were among the first to fail. Residents filmed scenes of tin roofs peeling away like paper, crashing into streets already flooded with rainwater. These winds, while not officially classified as a major tornado during this mid-December event, exhibited characteristics typical of convective storm gusts common in Indonesia's wet season. Sudden bursts of wind, rotating airflow on a small scale, and violent downdrafts combined with heavy rain created conditions that felt chaotic and dangerous on the ground. In several videos, residents could be heard shouting warnings as debris flew across narrow streets. As floodwaters rose, daily life came to a halt. Motorcyclists attempted to navigate through water that reached up to half a meter deep, engines sputtering as waves washed over exhaust pipes. Some riders abandoned their scooters altogether, pushing them through the flood or leaving them behind as water continued to rise. Cars stalled in the middle of submerged roads, traffic jams formed, and emergency access became increasingly difficult. The danger extended beyond property damage. Fast-moving water concealed open drains, potholes, and debris beneath the surface. Several people required assistance after being knocked off balance by currents. Emergency responders received a surge of calls from residents trapped inside homes or vehicles, particularly in densely populated neighborhoods where floodwater rose rapidly. Tragically, the flooding also claimed at least one life. A foreign national was reported to have been swept away by floodwaters in North Kuta, highlighting how deceptive and deadly urban flooding can be. Roads that appeared passable moments earlier transformed into dangerous channels once water volume increased. Throughout the crisis, local disaster response teams worked continuously. Crews were dispatched to clear fallen trees, evacuate residents from the most affected areas, and monitor river levels. Authorities urged people to remain indoors where possible, avoid flooded roads, and stay informed through official weather updates. Mosques, community halls, and higher ground facilities were prepared to receive residents if evacuation became necessary. The emotional toll of the event was visible everywhere. Families scrambled to protect belongings, lifting furniture onto bricks or higher shelves. Shop owners hurriedly closed shutters as water crept inside. Children watched anxiously as rain battered rooftops and wind rattled windows. Power outages affected some areas after trees damaged electrical lines, plunging neighborhoods into darkness while rain continued to fall. When the rain finally eased, the aftermath revealed the scale of the damage. Streets were coated in mud and debris. Piles of twisted metal roofing lay scattered along sidewalks. Walls had collapsed under water-soaked soil, and drainage channels were clogged with trash carried in by floodwater. Cleanup crews faced a massive task, working long hours to restore basic access and sanitation. What made this event particularly alarming for residents was not just its intensity, but its familiarity. Many had experienced similar floods in recent years, and each episode seemed to arrive faster and hit harder. Urban expansion, reduced green spaces, and aging infrastructure have steadily increased Bali's vulnerability to extreme rainfall. Areas once able to absorb water now shed it instantly into streets and homes. The mid-December 2025 event reinforced growing concerns about climate variability and preparedness. Meteorologists noted that disturbances like Bibit Siklon Tropis 9.3s may not be rare anomalies, but part of a pattern of increasingly volatile weather systems affecting the region. Warmer ocean temperatures and shifting atmospheric conditions are expected to continue influencing rainfall intensity during the monsoon season. As normal life slowly resumed, discussions turned to prevention and adaptation. Improving drainage capacity, restoring river corridors, enforcing zoning regulations, and enhancing early warning systems have become urgent priorities. For residents who endured days of flooding and wind, these conversations are no longer abstract. They are rooted in lived experience. Even after the water receded, many homes remained damp and damaged. Mold, structural weakening, and ruined belongings added long-term challenges to immediate cleanup efforts. Small businesses faced lost income, repairs, and uncertainty as they assessed the cost of recovery. And yet, amid the destruction, stories of resilience emerged. Neighbors helped each other clear debris. Volunteers distributed food and water. Local communities demonstrated solidarity in the face of adversity, reminding everyone that while nature's force can be overwhelming, collective action remains powerful. In the days that followed, this sense of unity became one of the strongest images left behind by the storm. Long after the rain had stopped and the winds had eased, residents returned to flooded streets armed with brooms, shovels, and bare hands, determined to reclaim their neighborhoods. Mud was scraped from doorways, clogged drains were cleared, and damaged furniture was dragged outside to dry under a hesitant sun. In many areas, people worked not just on their own homes, but moved door to door, helping elderly neighbors and families who had lost the most. Community leaders coordinated informal relief efforts, setting up temporary collection points for food, clothing, and clean drinking water. Earlier in 2025, well before the mid-December floods and storms, Bali experienced a distinct tornado event in January 2025 that was widely reported by disaster tracking organizations and local news outlets. On January 18, 2025, a powerful pudding balaying occurred in Sangganan village in Tabanan Regency, Bali. This single event, though small in geographic scope, was significant for local residents as intense rotational winds ripped through homes, damaged temple structures and other infrastructure, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Preliminary damage assessments suggested that the financial loss from that tornado could reach into the hundreds of millions of Indonesian rupiah, and emergency crews were dispatched immediately to assist recovery there. Unlike the broader System 9.3's mid-December impacts, which were driven by large-scale atmospheric disturbance and persistent rainfall, the January tornado was a localized, concentrated wind event, typical of pudding balaying phenomena in Indonesia but rare for Bali and noteworthy among regional weather incidents in 2025. This occurrence remains one of the most prominent whirlwind episodes on the island in recent memory. While Indonesia faces tropical storms and cyclones more frequently on its outer islands, direct wind whirl events that qualify as tornado-like, especially in Sangganan, are less commonly documented in Bali itself. This January 2025 tornado thus left a lasting impression on local communities and emergency response teams, reinforcing the unpredictable nature of extreme weather on the island.